Welcome to Better Today with Alex Merced, where we talk about improving your life by working on your relationships, knowledge, skills, and health, by allocating your time to development, maintenance, and leisure of those things. If you enjoy the show, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/AlexMerced. Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Better Today. This is Alex Merced from AlexMerced.com, and basically today's episode I want to talk about is knowledge. Actually, and skills while we're at it. And one of the main things I always hear people when they are frustrated that they don't necessarily have the skills for today's labor force or the knowledge for today's labor force is that, they don't want to go back to school and all this stuff. But the thing is that the cost, or they can't afford to go to school, but the cost and the barriers to have the knowledge and skills of today are so much less than they were before, at least in regards to the cost. Really, as long as you have an internet connection and something which to use on an internet connection, like a smartphone or a tablet, you can learn. You can learn, and you can learn new things. A lot of skills that I learned because of watching videos on YouTube, particularly music production through FL Studio, learning how to use Adobe Photoshop, Adobe After Effects. These were all pieces of software that I learned just by watching videos on YouTube. And then the more I watched, the more I learned, and I just put what I saw in the videos into practice, and I got better and better and better at it. And there were times where I would learn software programs that I don't have, but watching videos on those software programs, one day when I did come into contact with those software suites, I felt more acquainted with it, or in other applications that were similar that I did come into contact with, I was already aware of what things did and what certain terms meant. So you can learn whatever you want, and it's not just software or programming, but you can learn pretty much anything, how to cook what you want to cook. I've learned how to make all sorts of different crafts, but learn how to make wallets, how to make cufflinks. Basically, anytime I've had a question, how do I do that? I've just learned how to do it because the cost of learning it has been so low. And on that regard, basically, a lot of people be like, what if I don't have a computer? What if I don't have internet connection? Well, a tablet, a Kindle Fire tablet, it's like $30 to $50. $50 typically, you can get it for 30 or 40 at a sale during a holiday. But with that tablet, you can head down to your local Starbucks and get a free internet connection. Just buy a cup of coffee, sit down, enjoy the internet connection, and you can find stuff. Maybe you won't be able to stream videos on YouTube with that particular internet connection since so many other people are using it. But you can download PDFs and all sorts of free ebooks that are out there to learn whatever you want to learn, especially programming and other cool things. So there's all sorts of things you can do to get new knowledge, to get new skills. It's just up to you to decide to go out and get those skills, to get that knowledge. So go do it. Now, a couple other things you got to be aware that are out there are actual free online schools like Khan Academy. Okay, you go to Khan Academy's website, you can learn pretty much a K through 12 and beyond education for free. You can go to iTunes University, where all sorts of universities have put out free college courses right there. So if you have an iPhone, all you do is you just open the iTunes U app and download the courses you want to learn. A lot of those courses have been put on as podcasts on podcast directories such as iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play. And people have podcasts teaching you everything. I have a podcast that covers podcasting and blogging. I have another podcast that teaches economics. And all sorts of other podcasts that I do. Just search Alex Merced in the iTunes, Google Play, or Stitcher directory, and you can find them. Point being is that don't focus on the barriers to the traditional way of doing things, because why do things the traditional way when you don't have to? Your goals, your dreams, they're all reachable. But sometimes you have to walk around the typical barriers. Okay, so for example, I opened up a comic book store when I was in college. Now, you open up a store, you have to raise all sorts of money and hire all sorts of people to do all sorts of things that you may not currently know how to do. But we didn't have the money for that, so we just learned how to do everything. My buddy learned a lot more of the tech stuff. I learned a lot more of the business stuff. And, what paperwork we had to file, what software we needed to keep track of the orders and the business model for a comic book store. And basically, we actually partnered up with another store that gave us a lot of guidance and found mentorship. And that's another thing you can do. You can find mentors out there. Find people who are already doing what you want to do and say, hey, is it okay if I get to know you and you give me advice and you kind of mentor me in becoming what I want to become? You can do that. So there's all sorts of different avenues to success. It's not all a matter of you having to get into huge student loans and going back to school for a second or third time. Opportunities are there for you to create if you want to create your own opportunities. And oftentimes, opportunities you create are better than the opportunities that are already available. So that's what I wanted to kind of talk about today. My name is Alex Merced of alexmerced.com. You're listening to Better Today, where we always talk about how to make yourself better today.